Okay, so today we're going to be covering the top 5 edge matchups that I'm excited for in the 2021 college football season. Before we get started, there's a couple of things different about today. Number one, I've got a lot shorter hair. And number two, this isn't a film room breakdown, so if that's what you came here for, that's not going to be here. However, there will be some aspects of film as we give an overview of today's players. Okay, so let's get right into the video with number 5. Number 5 is less of an actual edge one-on-one matchup, but more of an edge player trying to assert themselves as a draft prospect. And this is, of course, Group of 5 end Myjai Sanders. On October 2nd, he takes on Notre Dame. This should be a huge litmus test for Sanders as we look forward to his season. Last year, due to COVID, he played a strictly Group of 5 schedule, other than Georgia, of course, in that bowl game. Playing a powerhouse, huge offensive line school like Notre Dame is going to be huge for his draft evaluation process. This is due to him really playing some high-caliber football and high-caliber schools. Therefore, meaning a lot of these guys from Notre Dame will get drafted eventually, and most likely the whole line will. Therefore, this will allow us to get a true aspect of what Myjai Sanders is about and how he competes at the highest level. Okay, now moving on to the Pac-12 for number 4. This matchup is between Tupelo Fatui from Washington and Diesch from Arizona State. This is our first actual edge versus tackle matchup that I'm covering today. Diesch is rated as one of those prospects due for a big breakout season in 2021. This is a huge matchup for him as we look forward to see him play a high caliber edge prospect. Depending on who comes out on top of this matchup could significantly boost one another's draft stock. And if Tupelo Fatui has a great game and Diesch continues to have a great season, that'll only boost Fatui's draft stock. A huge matchup for both of them and could be a hugely important Pac-12 matchup. This matchup happens on November 13th and it excites me a lot, and I cannot wait to analyze both of them. Okay, now moving on from the west to the north in a Big 10 matchup. This one comes between Michigan and Northwestern, and it's of course Skowronski versus Hutchinson. Hutchinson had a great year in 2019, but a little bit of a decline in 2020. However, now without the support of Rashawn Gary or Petit, there's a lot of pressure now on Hutchinson to be that sole pass rusher. This game may not mean a whole lot otherwise in terms of Big 10 standings. However, with the potential high draft stock riding on this game, I expect a lot from these two, and I look forward to being able to analyze this game. This game happens on October 23rd, and I personally cannot wait. Okay, so now onto a rematch. This one I've already covered the film for from last year, and it's in my Demarvin Leal video, which kind of gives it away, and you can go watch that up here after you're done with this one. It was a great game last year, and again could be even more just because of the stakes riding on this game, let alone these two powerhouses going after each other. Leal is classed as one of the top 2 tackles in this draft class, as well as Leal who already has a high stock and could continue to grow this. The interesting thing about this matchup is where Demarvin Leal plays, and we'll see this throughout. And I'm excited to see where he lines up because there's a lot of rumors about him playing D-tackle. Some sites have him listed as a tackle, others have him listed as an edge defender. Kind of depends, and he played a lot of edge, but it has the body type and the ability and skill set to play inside. If he plays inside, it might not be as big of a matchup. However, Alabama does have a lot of talent year on year on that offensive line. Therefore, it will still be a great game to watch and analyze from an edge perspective. This could be between 2 potential winners of the SEC, and we could even see this game twice, potentially. And I'm sure this will be a great game no matter what. Okay, so our last one is another player versus team matchup. However, this one's a little bit different from Myjai Sanders at number 5. This one is Kayvon Thibodeaux versus Ohio State. But the reason this is different is because it's not just his performance, but it's more about 2 separate tackles who both have a lot riding on this game. You know how I mentioned Leal being one of those top 2 tackles? Well, the other one is Munford, and he plays for Ohio State. On top of this, his partner is Petit Frere, who plays on the opposite side. Looking at PFF's returning tackle data, they are number 1 and number 10, respectively, with Munford being that higher 1. And Thibodeaux is highly regarded as that number 1 edge defender. So, mixing the arguably number 1 tackle and the number 1 edge defender in this class can only result in a big game. Or it could result in a stalemate, and this video is completely pointless. On September 11th, it's so early in the season that it could be a huge matchup and is going to take place with a lot of games left to play. So, on top of this, moving on from Munford alone, he also, when he switches sides, still has to deal with a top 10 potential tackle in college football this year. Therefore, meaning even when he does switch sides, he's not going to get a break, and it's going to be an incredible matchup regardless. And as I mentioned, it's so early in the year, I think we'll be able to get a great idea of who matches up with who and how. This will give us a bigger view on the draft board as a whole, and we'll create some good football. Okay, with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you check out my other videos. Should be linked here. With that being said, I should have another film room up, hopefully this week, on McDonald from Iowa State.